Excuse me? Excuse me? Who is suing who? I heard that a black man wanted to be sued or want to be sued or is about to be sued by a white man. For what? Sir? Hello? I saw this particular review and I was like, I don't get where is this sue coming from? In fact, we as black people, we are supposed to even be suing you for for boasting, for making it look like we cannot do anything. Remember, a white man challenged a black man, and a black man ended up beating up that white man to the point that he actually broke his jaw. In fact, I saw clips that most of his teeth were literally replaced. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a juicy update on every single thing that actually happened. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And yes, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
Well, allegedly, Jake Paul is suing Anthony Joshua. Why? Because Anthony Joshua went off script. Not saying exactly what that meant, but something around the lines of malicious intent. Like, it was a no knockout clause, and the fact that Anthony Joshua hit that man so hard in his face that his jaw dislocated in two places was not a part of the script. I mean, the match rules. So, I'm not sure if Jake Paul is admitting that this was a scripted event and that, Anthony Joshua didn't go on script and all the people in Vegas and all the betting money and all of that stuff is fraudulent. I'm not sure if he's saying that, but he's saying there might be at least a $20 million lawsuit coming to Anthony Joshua because that was malicious intent. He went beyond the rules of boxing when he hit that man in his mouth and broke his jaw. I mean, we all were entertained, Paul. So chill out. Like, that's just how the game go, man. Some you win some, you lose some, but you get up to fight again. Well, allegedly, Jake Paul is suing Anthony Joshua.
For what? Winning? Yo! If you go back and watch this video, bro man goes in and says that supposedly Jake Paul is suing him because Anthony Joshua went off script. There was a no knockout clause. What? Listen, you influencer type motherfuckers need to stop fucking around. Stay in the influencer world. Do the shit that Jackass used to do. Cause some of y'all run around here with nuts that don't belong to you, and when somebody come and snatch them bitches the fuck off, you can't sue. If Jake Paul sues, he has to admit that all the fights that he's ever had were rigged. He has to admit that Anthony Joshua went off script because there was a script to be had in the first place. And if let's say he does. You know what that's going to prove to me? If you don't want to get knocked the fuck out, stay out of fucking shit that could get you knocked the fuck out. I don't fight MMA. I don't fight at all. Anyway. Don't get into MMA. Just don't. Don't. You know why? Because there's a strong possibility that you can get knocked the fuck out. Take your ass to professional wrestling like your brother Logan. Logan doesn't have to worry about getting knocked the fuck out unless Logan does something stupid that results in him getting knocked the fuck out. You are in a boxing ring, sir, with boxing gloves wrapped around your fist. The point of a boxing match is to punch somebody until you knock them the fuck out. What the fuck? What kind of rules? What are we living in right now? I blame that boy mama. I blame his mama. I do. I blame Jake and Logan Paul's mama and their daddy. Because they didn't teach him the first rule of getting into a fight. There is a possibility you can get knocked the fuck out. It's literally in the name. Boxing. You ever heard that old rule? If a man in boxing gloves and boxing shorts and shit gets into a ring, and another man in boxing shorts and boxing gloves gets in the ring, they are agreeing to have a fight. But if one man gets in a boxing ring with boxing gloves and boxing shorts, and the other man gets in with a three-piece double-breasted suit, he did not agree to get punched in his fucking mouth. So if this motherfucker in the boxing gloves hits this man, it's assault. Jake, you put on boxing gloves, home. You put on boxing gloves. That means you agreed to throw punches. And you also agreed to get some punches thrown at you. You thought it was cool when you was fighting fucking football players and MMA fighters and shit. Oh, I'm Jake Paul. I can knock out anybody. And then a fucking thoroughbred former heavyweight champion of the goddamn world walked his ass in that ring and showed you what time it was. He put a clock on your fucking face and then told the time. If Jake Paul sues and y'all still follow that motherfucker, you ain't shit. You ain't shit and your mama should have swallowed you. You ain't shit and your mama should have swallowed you, period. If he was going to do all that, he could have fought Chase Demore. It's a boxing match, dumbass. You agree to walk into a ring to have a boxing match where you could be knocked the fuck out. What is this? Delay a game, change shit. No. I know you got on boxing gloves and we in a boxing ring and I'm wearing boxing gloves and we gonna throw punches, but you can't knock me out. The fuck he can't? Anthony Joshua is not here for your games. And I'm just Tyson Fury ain't there for your games. Deontay Wilder ain't there for your games. Tank Davis is not there for your motherfucking games. Javante Tank Davis is not there for your motherfucking games. They're there to punch you in your fucking shit. You gotta guard your face and your neck. Because if you walk into a boxing ring with a boxing referee and a boxing bell, and you're having 3-minute rounds like a boxing match, and there's another person across the ring from you wearing boxing gloves and boxing shorts, and you are wearing boxing gloves and boxing shorts, bitch, you came there to box. And part of boxing is, please protect your motherfucking face at all times before you fuck around and get knocked the fuck out. This better be a rumor. This better be a fucking rumor. This better be a rumor. Because if this shit's real, and Jake Paul pulls a Drake, I better not hear another goddamn thing about Jake Paul. I don't give a fuck about his money. I don't give a fuck about his influence. I don't fucking care. If this shit is if it's a false flag, cool, I'm great, whatever. But if this shit is anywhere near true, and the next motherfucker tell me Jake Paul needs to be taken seriously, he can seriously take these nuts, how the fuck you go into a boxing ring with boxing gloves on against an opponent who also is wearing boxing gloves, get hit in your shit, because that's what boxers do, get knocked the fuck out, and ain't gonna pull his lawsuit. Boy, you new generation motherfuckers is ass. First Drake, now Jake. This better be a fake. There better be a rumor. This motherfucker done Drake himself. How you Drake yourself? Suing for a boxing match that you wanted to be in the ring with. Boxing. Fuck.
Jake Paul was talking about suing Anthony Joshua. And the reason has everybody side-eyeing this whole situation. From what's being said, Jake is claiming Anthony Joshua went off script. And when I say off script, I mean, there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least very specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting Jake so hard that his jaw got dislocated in 2 places was not part of that agreement. Jake's basically saying that Punch crossed the line from just boxing into what he's calling malicious intent. Now here's where it gets messy. If Jake is really saying this fight was supposed to follow a script, then what does that say about the event, the Vegas crowd, the betting money, all of that? Because that opens up a whole different conversation nobody wants to touch. He's allegedly claiming Anthony Joshua could be on the hook for something like $20 million for violating the rules and going beyond what was agreed upon. But let's be real for a second. This is boxing. People get hit. Jaws get broken. That's literally the risk you take stepping into the ring. We were all entertained, Jake. That's the game. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose.
Starting a class action against Jake Paul, because I want to join it. Is there a lawyer on TikTok that we can all like get band together behind and like have them file this petition for a class action lawsuit for rigging fights?
Jake Paul suing Anthony Joshua. That's what they're saying, because Anthony Joshua didn't stick to the script the way that Mike Tyson did, because Mike Tyson needed money. Anthony Joshua doesn't. And I love this for Jake Paul. This is a sport. This is not some live streaming rage bait BS. So I love it that he actually thought he wasn't going to get his behind beat by a professional boxer, and that he's going to court for it. Stay in your lane. You're a live streamer. You hustle people for money all day with rage baiting and fake storylines. Boxing is a professional sport, or at least it used to be. But this is just a reminder of that. And I just absolutely love this for him. Go ahead and sue him. He's got the money. He got you.
Take him to court because this wasn't in the contract. He was supposed to take it easy on me.
Hold on a minute. Is that AI or Jake Paul is taking Anthony Joshua to court because Anthony Joshua should have taken it easy upon him and should not knock him out and broken jawbone in 2 places? Now, before the fight, their question was put to Deontay Wilder and said, how him think the fight gonna go? And Deontay Wilder said, well, if the fight is not script, Anthony Joshua gonna knock out Jake Paul. And Jake Paul come out and said, he sent a letter to Deontay Wilder to cease and desist because the fight not script. So how Jake Paul want to sue Anthony Joshua now for beat him up and knock him out? Anthony Joshua should have taken it easy upon him. No, you say you're big.
Child, I don't even watch boxing. I tend to stay out of sports because, child, I don't even know what I be watching half the time. But baby, I had to chime in on this one.
Great uppercut. Best shot at the moment. Not that much is going to happen. And it almost, oh, there's a left hook. Oh, down goes Paul.
You know, I give Jake Paul credit for stepping in there in the first place, going 6 rounds. All those people that says if this doesn't get past the first round, it's a loss for Anthony Joshua. He did what he was supposed to do, but we also give a little due credit now to Jake Paul.
Because, baby, what was that? What was it? And, baby, my grandma would say, bless his little heart. But back to our regular scheduled program. And I had to pull in a little closer when I say this. But, baby, this is a textbook case. White male mediocrity on full display. A mediocre white man thought he could step into a space that he didn't earn, challenging a man completely out of his league. Now, the receipts are there. And somehow he thought he could win just because he had the audacity to. And honestly, y'all, I don't even blame him. Because this country is built to make white men believe that desire equals qualification. Just for them, though. That their confidence matters more than competence. And that access matters more than ability. And baby, we're seeing what's happening right now with Wig and them. So when reality finally shows up, when skill meets discipline, when mastery meets more audacity, and the outcome isn't in their favor, baby, here come the tears. Now it's a lawsuit. Now it's, this wasn't fair. But let's be clear. Didn't you ask for the fight? You wanted the platform. You wanted the moment and the shine. because you had the audacity. And baby, this is the same pattern we see everywhere in America. White men overreaching, falling upwards, and then crying victim when the consequences arrive. Meanwhile, black excellence is always treated like a threat. Too strong, too skilled, overqualified. Whatever that means. We too dominant. Never just we earn that shit. And now we give all the attention to the loser. We gotta give him some credit. Those not my words. Baby, this wasn't about boxing. This is what happens when entitlement meets reality. Yeah. And reality not bending. Because Anthony wasn't playing these games. You weren't about to have him out here looking foolish. Y'all, I don't even watch boxing. But I'm mad I missed that one. All right, y'all. Drink your water. Stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable. And mind your black business. Happy Black History 365. And I'll see you next time.
30 to 40 minutes away from where Jake and Logan Paul grew up. They grew up in like a wealthy western suburb of Cleveland. But it's interesting because I grew up with so many guys like Jake and Logan Paul. This kind of like assumption of like being the center of the universe and like that they must be the best because they only get like positive affirmation from like the men around them, the women around them, the community around them, where like every space they're in, they get to like own it in a way. Like when they're doing all their insanely disruptive pranks, if you don't like that they're like disrupting and they're like breaking stuff or whatever, then you're just a buzzkill. It's like almost like a cult of personality situation. And so just seeing Jake Paul getting laid out like that, like his jaw got broken in 2 places. And like Anthony Joshua does not even break a sweat. He's like so nonchalant in the fight. Like that was just a fight that was just like for so many of us. I've watched that like minute clip of the fight like at least 10 to 15 times now. And I just want to echo that it is like a turning point moment, I feel, in culture in the United States. Like whether his fight with Tyson was real or not, whether it was payola or not, it's amazing seeing a sport like take back its integrity. Because boxing had become almost this like celebrity lampoon of a sport. And to see real people that are just so incredible at their craft, while someone who represents like this administration, represents white mediocrity, represents like the cancer of like end game capitalism, for him to be so just soundly and meticulously dismantled. Like anyone who's making Anthony Joshua fan art, like please send me the links. I need to buy.
Camp suing people online for claiming that his fight against Joshua Anthony was fixed. So there's been a lot of posts of critics, some even have up to 200,000 likes, saying that the fight between Joshua Anthony and Jake Paul was a rigged match. Now we can all agree in the past there probably has been some rigged matches, but certainly not this one. They literally didn't need to rig this. Joshua Anthony was gonna knock the snot out of Jake Paul no matter what. And he broke his jaw in 2 places. So the reason he's pissed off is because he broke his jaw in 2 places and had to go to the hospital, and then people are calling the fight rigged. This is pissing off not only Jake Paul but his entire camp, and they plan on suing people, anybody that is saying that this fight is rigged. You could just be a social media influencer and he will be going after you for defamation of character, and it takes a lot of courage to go up against a fighter like Joshua Anthony. I still commend him for that. So if you're somebody that has made social media content saying specifically that the fight was rigged, you could be getting sued by.
I don't know if anyone else has been keeping up with the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight, but I am locked in and have been watching edits for a minute. I've been watching the pre-fights and the fight and the jaw breaking, and it is pure insanity. But I want to talk about the duality of Jake Paul and Donald Trump, and specifically what this means for everyday American citizens, because I think this is giving a sense of hope in a way that people didn't quite expect. And what I mean by this is when Donald Trump was elected in 2024 and Mike Tyson was in the ring, people kind of felt like it was symbolic to like what politics was in America. And I also feel like it's similar to like the Super Bowl. Like, you know, when Kendrick Lamar was like the headliner for the Super Bowl, when the Eagles won, there was like a silence, chaos around the world that was like, the kids are going to be all right. You know what I mean? And it was like a changing point. I would say similarly, it was when Beyonce won Album of the Year. This all happened in 2025. And now concluding it, because it's December, a lot of things can happen in the last like week and a half, but I mean, it's December. So going into 2026, concluding it with Jake Paul losing this fight to Josh Anthony, it's just making it all wrap in this cute little bow that's almost making it like we're on the incline of coming back and like the end is near. I also feel like Mandani winning New York was also a huge turning point for us too, because it showed that people still care, that we still have the ability to show up and show out. It was one of the biggest voter turnouts. I believe there were over 1 million votes, and that's just for a mayoral election, which is major. And so, yeah, I love looking at things through a critical lens, through a political, social, economic lens, and I am quite fascinated with 2025. I also feel like anyone who pays attention to astrology knows that it's been pretty chaotic. The rise and fall of the fascist regime that is the American government. We are about at the end of it, but I won't get too much into that, otherwise this will be a long video. But yeah, if anyone has been paying attention to the events, it's quite fascinating to look at the timeline. And I didn't know who Anthony Joshua was before, but I'm glad to have been rooting for him after when he won.
The only way that Jake Paul could have got through that fight is to move and not be stationary whatsoever. That's what you've got to do, and it is difficult. You know, who's saying that AJ is the best at, cutting the ring off and having the best footwork? Somebody like a Lomachenko, a Crawford, yeah, they can do it, but AJ is not that type of fighter. So, and he very rarely has to cut the ring off. And if somebody makes him work to land his shot, because AJ's got to be set really with his feet to get the shots off. Otherwise, he's just flicking out a jab. Some fighters don't have to be particularly to be set. They can be moving, they can closing the ring down, skillful fighters. AJ is not a very skillful boxing fighter. He can fight, he's a big lump, he can punch. But he's not one for closing the ring down. He's not that type of kid. And he's chasing down a smaller guy whose sole intention is to avoid getting hit. So it's difficult. It would be difficult for a lot of people to chase somebody down who keeps moving all the time. So you've got to look at that fight for what it was. AJ got the win, whichever way it was. It did massive numbers. They both got a load of money. I personally think that Jake Paul got a lot of credibility out of that fight. He got his jaw broke 2 places. He did 6 rounds. He took some big shots. And, I don't think it weren't a fix. I don't think AJ held back. Because if he held back, he wouldn't be breaking his jaw. So fair play to Jake Paul. He's gone in with one of the biggest fellas, an intimidating guy as well, and he's just a YouTuber. You got to give him a bit of credit.
100%. And with regards to the what was the other aspect of it? Hold on, mine's gone completely blank. With regards to AJ's next move, they've obviously a name suggested is Rico Van Heaven. Hope I said that right. He's a legendary kickboxer but never boxed before. That's what they're looking at potentially next year. Eddie didn't rule that out. Is that the right preparation for a potential Tyson Fury fight?
Not really, but I don't think I think AJ, just to get back in the ring, just over a year since he got beat by Dubois, he got to overcome a lot. He got in, did his training, he broke into his camp, he boxed Jake Paul, he got through the fight, he won. He's having this one. I don't think there's any fight you can have that AJ could have now in preparation to face Tyson Fury or to face anybody. He's at that stage where he's about 35, 36 years old. He's probably learned everything he's going to learn. It's more about now just getting in and doing it. So having that fight, getting a win in, getting another training camp under his belt, going against somebody. Kickboxers, he's only got to look at Andrew Tate. I mean, I remember the time, maybe a year ago or maybe less, when Jake Paul was calling out Andrew Tate. Yeah? I mean, what would have happened in that fight after watching them both at the weekend? Who would have won that fight? And it looks clear that it's probably going to be Jake Paul. And Andrew Tate's a big talker. You've obviously seen clips in Dubai, taking on 5 or 6 guys at a time, whacking them up. But what I noticed about Andrew Tate's fight is kickboxing. Is that kickboxing is 4 limbs, 2 hands, 2 legs. When you take a kickboxer's legs away, they're down to 50% of what they've got because they can only use 2 things. And the thing with kicking is it is a defence mechanism where you bring your leg up, kick him out and keep the distance. And what I noticed about Andrew Tate and the other guy he boxed is They had a very, very upright stance, and Andrew Tate's pulling back when he's getting hit. They both got long arms, Andrew Tate and the guy he boxed. And you could see at times where you could see where Andrew Tate wanted to lift his leg up. And that's the thing, I've had kickboxers who go into boxing. It's a common thing. So they can tend to be quite open. And like I say with Andrew Tate, a bit disappointing, that fight. But his stance, the kickboxer stance is, it's very upright. So I don't think Joshua, if he fights that guy, he'll have a problem, because the kid will be there to be hit. He'll be up there with his chin in the air. Don't matter whether there's a kickboxer. Kickboxing is totally different to boxing. You know what I mean? There's not a great amount of fighters who go from kickboxing into boxing and be particularly good, but there have been fighters, but they're very far and few between.
Allegedly, Jake Paul is talking about suing Anthony Joshua, and the reason is kind of wild. The claim is that Anthony Joshua went off script. And before anyone jumps me in the comments, I'm not saying the fight was scripted, but Jake's argument is interesting. From what's being said, there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least certain rules in place, and Anthony Joshua hit Jake so hard that his jaw was dislocated in 2 places. And Jake's side is saying that level of damage wasn't part of the agreement, that it crossed into malicious intent and went beyond the rules of boxing for that match. Now, here's where people are confused. If Jake is saying Anthony Joshua went off script, is he also kind of implying that the event was planned in some way? And if that's the case, what does that say about the betting, the Vegas money, all of it? That's where the controversy really starts. They're even throwing around a number like $20 million in potential damages, but honestly, a lot of people are like, this is boxing. You step in the ring, you take that risk, we were all entertained, nobody forced anyone to fight. So yeah, some people think Jake needs to chill. You win some, you lose some, you heal up, and you fight again. But others are saying if rules were truly broken, that's a real issue. Either way, this whole situation has people talking, and I'm curious where y'all stand.
So allegedly, Jake Paul is talking about suing Anthony Joshua, and the reason has people side-eyeing hard. The claim is that Anthony Joshua went off script, not just breaking a rule, but showing what Jake's camp is calling malicious intent. Supposedly, there was a no knockout clause in place, and the argument is that Joshua hit Jake so hard he dislocated his jaw in 2 places, which apparently was not part of the agreement. Now here's where it gets weird. If Jake Paul is saying this fight was scripted, then what does that say about the whole event? The betting, the Vegas money, the promotion, all of it? Because boxing matches are governed by rules, not scripts. So either he's implying there was some kind of prearranged understanding, or he's mad that the fight didn't go his way and wants to reframe the loss. What's being floated is a potential lawsuit worth up to $20 million, claiming Joshua crossed the line and violated the terms of the match by hitting him with excessive force. But let's be real for a second, this is boxing. You step in the ring, you sign up to get hit. Hard. Broken jaws, knockouts, injuries, that's literally the risk of the sport. People were entertained, the crowd got what they paid for, and Anthony Joshua did what boxers are trained to do. You don't get to cry foul after the fact because you lost and got hurt. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you take an L and heal up.
Well, allegedly, Jake Paul is suing Anthony Joshua. Why? Because Anthony Joshua went off script. Not saying exactly what that meant, but something around the lines of malicious intent. Like, it was a no knockout clause, and the fact that Anthony Joshua hit that man so hard in his face that his jaw dislocated in 2 places was not a part of the script. I mean, the match rules. So, I'm not sure if Jake Paul is admitting that this was a scripted event and that, Anthony Joshua didn't go on script and all the people in Vegas and all the betting money and all of that stuff is fraudulent. I'm not sure if he's saying that, but he's saying there might be at least a $20 million lawsuit coming to Anthony Joshua because that was malicious intent. He went beyond the rules of boxing when he hit that man in his mouth and broke his jaw. I mean, we all were entertained.
So allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly, Jake Paul is talking about suing Anthony Joshua, and the reason is wild. From what's going around, Jake is claiming that Anthony Joshua went off script, basically saying there was some kind of no knockout clause or specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting him so hard that his jaw was dislocated in 2 places was not part of the agreement. Now here's where it gets messy. If Jake is saying this was malicious intent, and not just boxing, then are you also admitting this fight was scripted? Because if there was a script, and betting money involved, and Vegas involved, that opens a whole different can of worms. Apparently, Jake is claiming this could cost Anthony Joshua around $20 million, saying he went beyond the rules of boxing by hitting him that hard. But let's be real for a second. This is boxing. You get in the ring to get hit. We were all entertained, Jake. That's literally the job. You win some, you lose some, sometimes you get hurt, and then you heal up and fight again. That's the game. So yeah, suing because you got hit too hard in a boxing.
I don't give a second thought to Jake Paul's $20 million lawsuit. If I were the kind of person who could be bought off with money, I would never have won this fight in the first place. After the match, Jake couldn't wait to come out and accuse me, claiming that the decisive punch I landed was intentional and illegal. He even went so far as to absurdly allege that I threw the punch at full force while the referee was already stepping in, crossing the so-called bottom line of boxing rules. Hearing this, all I could do was laugh. A fair and square sporting contest was twisted in his mouth into deliberate harm, as if his loss wasn't due to a gap in ability, but because I refused to follow a script. To be honest, when I unleashed that punch on the ring without holding anything back, I clearly heard the sound of his jaw shifting out of place, and I heard his uncontrollable scream. In that moment, I felt no guilt and no regret whatsoever. There was only one emotion in my mind, the satisfaction of completely shattering the script, exposing the lies, and putting an end to a clownish performance. As a two-time world champion, injuries like this are commonplace in the ring. Only those without real ability choose to exaggerate them endlessly. I am tired of people turning boxing into a joke for profit. Especially after what happened with Tyson, Jake Paul deserves to face consequences.
But why did black people say that they felt healed from watching Anthony Joshua break Jake Paul's jaw in two places? Like, why was that a healing event for us? And to understand that, you got to understand the wound that Jake Paul opened up with the business model of boxing, specifically that he did. Because that's not just great white hopeism. That's older than that. That's from the tradition of Mandingo fighting. Now, a lot of y'all seen this from Django Unchained, but the fact is, on the slave plantations, part of the buck breaking process was Mandingo fighting, where they would get the two biggest, blackest dudes on the plantation, the slaves, and fight them together. And then it wasn't just that they fought for entertainment. It was that the master would get the winner drunk, then beat the drunk slave and stand above him like he earned it. See, Jake Paul is the epitome of didn't earn a DEI. You didn't earn Mike Tyson. You didn't earn Anderson Silva. You didn't earn Tyron Woodley in their primes. You just got to beat their rep when they were out of it. He got there because of money. Not just because of the abundance of money that he had from whatever thing in YouTube he exploited to get that money, but the fact that often fighters are left financially struggling when their careers are over. You see, Francis Ngannou, who Anthony Joshua also knocked out, was fighting against Dana White to try to get some kind of retirement, some kind of pension, some kind of health care for fighters when they leave the UFC. Because unless you make a huge purse, you don't even have that as a boxer. It's the fact that Jack Johnson and Joe Louis did bouts like this, these exhibitions, in order to make money because they were deprived of all the opportunities they could have had due to racism for them being champions in America in the first place. It's the fact that Jake Paul could have just did it the regular way. See, it's not the fact that there aren't great white fighters out there. Usyk, great. Klitschko, great. Calzaghe, great. But do it like them. Face brothers fairly. White masculinity has always had this unnecessarily competitive relationship with black masculinity. And it's older than slavery. It goes back to the Greek days, to the Roman days, and how Ethiopian fighters would dominate as gladiators in the arena. But for black fighters, it's always been about the love of the game. And the love of the game is what Anthony Joshua has. And here you got Jake Paul getting high off his own supply, believing his own hype, and finally getting a universal chin check from a dude who looked like basically the end point of human evolution. Anthony Joshua looked like what humans will look like in 10,000 years. Okay, this is a specimen of a dude who basically looked like a lab-grown heavyweight champion. And because Anthony Joshua had been off for a little while, and it's not the fact that a guy Jake Paul's size couldn't beat a guy Anthony Joshua's size, but he thought that the game was rigged in his favor. That's him believing his own hype. The heavyweight championship is the most prestigious honor in all of sports. And it's the fact that Jake Paul was cutting the line with privilege. It's just disgusting. Because if you look at the fighters that he could have fought, why didn't he fight retired white fighters? Like, how come you didn't want to fight, let's say, a Calzaghe, a Klitschko, Conor McGregor? Like, how come you don't want to fight these guys? Why was it always
fighting the black retired fighter with the hugest rep, trying to basically prey on that and make it yours as if you got it the way that you're supposed to get it, by blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, that looked like a lost episode of Jackass. Y'all remember Jackass back in the early 2000s when these like guys would go and do completely disastrous things for a laugh and for clout? This looked like he got in there like with the intention to hurt himself. It was so bad. So yeah, go ahead and hold this L, Jake Paul. And a lot of people are like, well, yeah, well, he could hold that L with $92 million. And I'm like, you're right. Jake Paul got paid. His bag is real. But will it continue to be? Because there's a real possibility that the hype train and the bag are intimately connected, and that Anthony Joshua just knocked the potential of another payday out of Jake Paul's future. Well, we'll see. But coming out dressed like Hulk Hogan, knowing how racist he was, knowing that you're just exploiting an old, dark archetype in the psychology of the American subconscious to profit from your privilege and making a bag at the expense of old black fighters, made me real glad that a young one in his prime sat you on your pockets, Mr. Jake Paul. Go ahead and hold this L on behalf of the culture. That's just my thoughts. What are yours? Go ahead and tell me in the comment section. I'm Theo E.J. Wilson, aka Brother Tej. Like, follow, and share this message out. Holla bag. Let's talk.
This is the face of a man that said, it's not about the money. Quick attorney breakdown. So apparently, Jake Paul is claiming that when Anthony Joshua punched Jake Paul so hard that he broke his jaw, and Jake Paul didn't want to continue the fight, that he broke a no knockout clause of their agreement. Number one, reminder, you can do anything you want as long as you're willing to give up a bunch of money. And it's not about the money. But number two, if I'm his lawyer, number one, I want him to punch Jake Paul very, very hard. And number two, to get a bunch of money. So if there's a clause in there that says no knockouts, what I would be like is, he didn't get knocked out. I don't see him losing consciousness. He just got hit so hard that he didn't want to continue. That's not a knockout. Now, I know there's industry definitions, and maybe there's specific definitions in their agreement that said, if you punch me so hard that I don't want to continue the fight, that's not allowed. But at the end of the day, I don't see you going to sleep. I just see you recognizing that you're fighting an actual boxer. I'm going, wait, time out. No, let's not do this anymore. That's not a knockout. That's a wake-up call. And that's my closing argument, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Mic drop. That's a mic drop.
Let me tell you something. When you're a white man, all you have to do is try. All you have to do is just try. And you'll get opportunities for failing just because people saw that you try. And the reason that I bring this up is the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight. Okay, my dad has on the fight. It happened yesterday, but we were watching it today. I'm watching like 3 rounds. Jake Paul's clearly struggling. He's out of breath. Conditioning didn't do nothing, okay? He's constantly grabbing on to Anthony Joshua to try to get some time away from the hits. It's a terrible fight. It's bad. But Anthony Joshua, he's barely breaking a sweat, okay? He's not out of breath. He's chilling. He clearly came there to collect his check, and when he got fed up enough, that's when he chose to knock him out. We now know that Joshua hit Jake so hard that he broke his jaw in 2 different places. He had to get metal plates put in his mouth, and he had multiple teeth replaced. The fight was so bad that the boxing commissioner has banned Jake Paul from fighting for the next 2 months. But when I'm listening to the live commentary that happened right after he won, I'm listening and they're saying, well, we have to give credit to Jake for even lasting 6 rounds with such a good fighter. Why do you have to give him credit? Like, you admitted as the commentators that this was a terrible fight. So why would we be giving him credit? I'm confused. I mean, I'm not confused, but you know what I'm saying. Now, I mean, it is worth noting that we kind of look at Jake Paul as like a kind of semi-fighter, right? Whereas Anthony Joshua is a former world champion, is a heavyweight boxer. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight, which is a class below, right? So they're kind of commenting on the fact that like one of these fighters is clearly the top dog while the other one is barely a fighter in the first place. But it's like, if this was the other way around, would you be giving him credit or would you be calling him stupid for even getting in the ring with him in the first place? You know what I'm saying? But when you fail, when you're a white guy, you get credit for failing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why they tell black people that you have to be twice as good for half as much. Because you'll never get credit for trying. You have to be excellent the first time around. Now, in Anthony Joshua's case, he didn't get half as much, okay? He got the big bag, went home with millions upon millions of dollars, okay? Barely broke a sweat and was in the club by midnight. Love that for him. But y'all know what I'm saying.
Hey, welcome back, guys. A white man wants to sue a black man. The truth is, Jake Paul, you first of all need to learn how to manage your audience. That's the first thing. You challenged a black man, thinking that at the end of the day, that black man will literally give you his way, which is Anthony Joshua. And at the end of the day, he showed you that there is literally no battle between you and him. He knocked you down at the 6th round. Not only that, your jaw, he makes sure that he did something that at the end of the day, you are going to replace them. And now, allegedly, he wants to sue, or is about to sue, or he has sued already. It is high time for a lot of white folks to understand or realize that you don't go into battle with black people just because you want to battle. You don't brag. You first of all need to sit down, understand the kind of people we are. You hardly see, except the battle that black people do not want to fight. Except black people just want to say, let it just be, let it go. Except that, if not, there is no black person that wants to do this particular thing and he has made up his mind that he's not going to do it. I don't even want to fall into that cheap argument of people saying, oh, it was an agreement and he was supposed to let Jake Paul beat him up. Honestly, see, let me tell you guys, even if I collect millions of dollars and I sign that particular agreement as a black person, once I go into that feed, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to allow a white man defeat me. Yes. Oh, so it is good for you guys to always sign an agreement according to what I've been seeing flying online for you to be able to defeat a black man. Why didn't you people sign the agreement for the black man to actually defeat you? And now a lot of people are coming up to be like, he did not stay to the agreement. He did not adhere to the agreement after collecting a lot of money. This is to tell you guys that black people are smart. See, I keep saying it. Black calmness, black patience, black meekness is gone. It was back in those days where we acted as if we don't know anything. We just literally just don't want to do anything. Let's just keep quiet, keep our hand folded for every single thing that will happen to happen. This era that we are we are no longer in that particular era. We are in the era where the violence takes it by force. So do not even think of bribing a black man. Do not think of it, because if you do and the black man go ahead to break the rules and regulation without doing what you think is going to do for you as a white man, you're going to take it like that. Because I feel like this is how slavery started, where they will literally come with one small tiny mirror, bribe our ancestors, and our ancestors will sell off a lot of people to them. So this is not actually that time. The earlier a lot of white folks realize that, I think the better for them. Because you should literally know that you don't just go ahead and bribe a black man and expect the black man to just fold his hand and be like, let it just happen. And I'm not even sure this is true, because when things is actually happening on social media, a lot of people will target how it will suit their narratives. So which narrative they are bringing, I don't care. But the last time I checked, and one thing I know for sure is there is no way a white man is going to defeat a black man. Yes. So you suing, you not suing is none of our business. And we are also going to counter sue. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like this video, drop me your comment, and lastly, do not forget to share. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do add the policy in my videos. I'm going to be saying bye. I'm going to see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.